Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Easy Mini Painting with me, Christopher Ridge, and we are going to continue the investigators that come with the core set to Mansions of Madness, and we're going to do all of the male investigators here. I think that they're pretty straightforward. The thing that's kind of annoying is that they're just a lot of browns, a lot of earthy color palettes to all of them, but because they're all just sort of straight-standing guys in suits, you kind of need some color variation in there because, if Carson and Preston there, for example, had the same colored suits, then it would be pretty easy to get them confused on the actual board. But why don't we just quit talking? Why don't we just get down to painting? Here we go. Okay, now the very first thing that I do with most of my hero miniatures, or most of my, regular human protagonist whatever type miniatures, is I'll do a base coat of Barbarian Flesh. It's just easier to get the flesh tone on there as a base coat, in my opinion, for me at least. And then we're going to move on to some matte white, and we're going to do a few things here. I've got the pictures of the character cards here. We are again going to try to emulate the character art on the cards here with the miniatures, similarly to what we did with the female investigators. And I think the first thing we'll do is we'll knock out Preston's shirt there. You can see he's got a nice clean white shirt. So we'll take out some matte white, and then we'll just, there's not a lot on here. It's just going to be his collar mostly, and some other parts of his shirt here. You can just kind of go over everything from his like tie and up. We're going to go over his tie with a separate color, but you want to get the white that is the base of his shirt underneath that first. And don't worry about going over his suit, because we're going to go over that with another color later on as well. Well, something like that. That's all that you need to do for Preston there. You just want to get that whiteness of his shirt there, and that's all you need to do. So I'll move on with him. Next up, we're going to move on to Carson, the butler. And same kind of thing, actually. He's just got a nice white shirt, and he's got kind of a popped collar, kind of a fancy, I don't know, Victorian English kind of thing. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, yeah, collar and shirt. All right, the other thing that we're going to do with this matte white here for Carson, the butler, is that he's got nice white gray hair there. Now, I think that, normally if I were taking my time more, I would probably do gray instead of white. But because we're just kind of wanting to reduce as many steps as possible for the sake of getting these miniatures done, I'm just going to stick with white, since we've already got it out and since we're going over other things with white anyway. There you go, so just make sure you get his hair and his sideburns. That's all that you really need there for Carson. That should be just fine. Okay, we're going to move on. And the last thing that we're going to do with this white color is we're going to get Mateo's collar here. He's a priest, Father Mateo, and he's just got a nice white collar there. There you go. That's all you need to do there. Simple as that. And for now, that's all that we're going to... Oh, and then one more thing. We're going to do take William here. Now, again, if I were taking my time with this, I would probably do more steps than this. But just, again, for the sake of simplicity and saving steps, with William's skull here, we're just going to go over that with white. Normally, I would probably want to use some extra colors on there. I would maybe use like some skeleton bone or some... monster brown or something like that as like a first coat, and then do some sort of, dry brush layers of paler colors to emulate bone on top of that. But I don't think it's a big deal in terms of just getting the miniatures table ready and good to get the game going here, to just go over it with white. I think that'll be just fine. There you go, just as simple as that. That'll do just fine for William's skull there. And now that's it. That's all that we're going to do with that first white color. Next up, we're going to do some more creative liberties or artistic interpretation. So I'm going to take out some angel green, which is just a nice dark green color, and we're going to use this for a couple of things. First off, regarding William York here. As you can see by his character art, his shirt isn't showing. His jacket is actually buttoned up. But his actual miniature here is very much not like that. So what we're going to do with William here is we're just going to go ahead and take some angel green and just assume that he's wearing an earthy green shirt. Why not add just a little bit of color variation? Because another thing that's kind of annoying about the male investigators that I've noticed is that it's just a lot of brown, earthy colors, and there's not a lot of color variety in them. Which on one hand makes it easier to paint all of them all at once, but the other frustrating thing about it is that basically all of them, in terms of the sculpts, they're basically all just, you know, straight standing guys in suits, except for Mateo. So it's, you know, you want to actually be a little bit... You want more color range with them to make them stand out from each other on the board more easily. I can't tell you how many times I've played games with people with, you know, hero tokens or, you know, investigator tokens that have very similar sculpts. So a lot of the times it's, you know, a player will start to, you know, move their piece from like one spot to another, only to realize, oh, that's actually not your character, that's mine, or you know, whatever. So we are going to try to do some color variation here, just for the sake of, you know, artistic words. I don't know, I give up. Anyway, nice green shirt there for William Yorick. And then what we'll do too is we'll take Carson here, and we'll go ahead and just interpret, you know, again, just for some creative, you know, variation here. He's got sort of, you know, again, earthy sort of tie and vest there. But why don't we just go ahead and give him the green tie and a green vest as well? Why not? There you go. He kind of strikes me as, yeah, kind of a snobby rich guy, so I think it would make sense for him to have, you know, green and white as his primary color scheme. That's actually all that we're going to do with that angel green color. Next up, we're going to move on to some oak brown, and the first thing that we're going to do with this is we're going to knock out William's hair and beard. He's got kind of darker hair, it looks like. Maybe there's a little bit of a red tint to it, but I wouldn't worry about it. I think that if you just stick with a nice solid brown color, I think that that'll be just fine. Now, one of the things that is probably the most frustrating about William there is getting his beard, because you kind of want to leave some skin showing, like where his mouth is, and you just want to get, you know, the mustache and the chin strap of his beard. So just make sure that you are careful, make sure that you're using a small brush or a brush with a relatively sharp point to it. As long as you just take your time with it and you be careful and you go about it in a positive way, you'll be just fine. That's probably fine there. I think that will do A-okay for William's hair and beard. Okay, so we're going to move on. I just realized I got it kind of backwards. I had intended to use that angel green color for Carson, the butler, for his vest and his tie, and I did it on Preston instead. But you know what? I think that it works out better the way it does. So I'm going to use this oak brown color for Carson's vest and tie instead, because I was going to use this for Preston, but I ended up using the angel green. I got them backwards. Jeez. They're like, their names aren't too, you know, they're not very dissimilar, and their color schemes are the same. It's easy to get these miniatures confused, even when you have a plan, even when you know that they're different characters, and even when you know that you're going to do different things. It's easy to make little tiny slip-ups like that, but, you know, like Bob Ross has always taught us, no mistakes, only happy little accidents, and I think that the green color on Preston actually works out pretty well. Okay, just a little something like that for Carson, no big deal. And then the big thing that we're going to do, though, with this oak brown color is we're going to go ahead and get all of Mateo's robes. We have neglected poor Mateo here, the pastor, the priest, whatever. So just go ahead and use this oak brown color to just knock out all of his robes. Oh, Miles. Oh, you better watch your step. Cat incoming. Miles. What? Stop messing with that. Stop it. Stop. Oh, you're knocking stuff over. Oh, you silly boy. All right, and then there we go. That's just Mateo's robes there. That just looks like a nice priest robe color. So I'm going to rinse that brush off because I believe we're completely done with that. And then I'm going to dish out some Monster Brown, and we're going to use that for some other suits and other things here. The first thing that I'm going to do with this Monster Brown is I'm going to go back to William here, and I'll go ahead and paint his shoes this color. I think that it's fine to just have them be this nice, soft leather color. There you go, just a little something like that. Oh, and then also with this monster brown color, with William, we're also just going to get the handle of his shovel here. Alright, so there we go. Just get that nice monster brown color on the shovel. And that's all that we're going to do with William with that color. Next up, I'll go ahead and move on to Mateo here, and we'll go ahead and paint the cross that he's holding with this brown color too. Basically, what I'm kind of going for is that this color will emulate a decent wood color. There you go, just as simple as that. That's all that you need. And then the big thing that we're going to do with this color, though, is that we're going to move on to Preston's suit, because his suit is just a nice sort of tannish, brownish color. So we'll just go over the entirety of his suit with Monster Brown. I just realized, didn't get a lot of Barbarian Flesh on the bottom side of his hand there, on the base coat. That's okay, since it's kind of facing downward anyway, and this is the first time I'm even noticing it, I don't think it'll be a big deal by the time the miniatures are completely done anyway, so I'll just go ahead and leave it. Alright, and then there you go, that's all that you need for Preston's suit there. That's just a nice, sort of soft brown, kind of tan brown color. I think that that'll do just fine. And we are done with Monster Brown at that point. And then next up, we're going to move on to some Desert Yellow here, and we're going to be using this for William's suit, because I think that, it's kind of hard to tell with the lighting on there, but I think it's sort of a lighter, more saturated tannish color, sort of a mustard yellow color, and I think that that'll do just fine for William's suit. It's a much more yellow suit than I thought that it would be, to be honest. But I think that when we add our Quickshade at the end of everything, I think that it will turn out much better. So we are done with the Desert Yellow because that's all that we're using it for, so I'm going to rinse that brush off. And now we're moving on to Dark Stone. And we're going to use a fair amount of this because we're going to use it for several things. It's a nice sort of dark, brownish, grayish color. The first thing that we're going to do is I'm actually going to take out Preston here, and I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm going to use a slightly more detailed brush because you can kind of see there, he's got sort of a prim, proper, just tight little mustache right above his upper lip. So I'm going to take a very sharp, very, very tiny brush here, and I'm just going to very lightly dab it across the top of his lip. I think that'll be just fine. That's all that you really need. Just that nice kind of little smirk that he's got, and just a mustache going, just a little bit at an angle right under his nose like that. All right, and then using the same sort of detailed brush, I'm going to go back to William here, and I'm just going to assume that William's buttons have a little bit of color to them. So I'm just going to dab each of William's buttons on his shirt and on his suit jacket with Dark Stone. There you go, just a little something like that. That's all that you really need right there. And then for Preston, I think, we'll go back to Preston here for a minute, and I'll go ahead and just get his tie with this color as well, just so that it's not the same color as his vest. Jeez, focus. There we go. A little something like that. There you go. That's it. That's all you really need. And then I'll go ahead and hold off on the detail brush, but we will continue to use Dark Stone here. And the first thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and do Preston's hair, because it looks like he's got some dark hair as well. There you go. And that's just got kind of Preston's sort of complete look there with his hair and mustache. That's looking pretty good. And then we're also going to go back to Mateo for a minute here, and we'll go ahead and give him his shoes this color as well. Since we've already gone over his robes and everything, try to make sure not to get this color on his pant legs. But as long as you just take your time and you're just careful, no problem. There we go, just Mateo's shoes there. Easy as that. And now the big thing is that we're going to use this Dark Stone color for Carson's suit, because he's got that sort of nice, dark, grayish, brownish sort of color for his suit. Yeah, that's the thing. If you wanted to not be particularly picky, You could probably just use a lot of the, the shades that you've already used for multiple suits. Like you could probably use, the same color for like Mateo's robes and Carson's suit here. But again, because, all of the male figures here, all of the male miniatures, so, 3 out of the 4 are basically just, again, straight standing dudes in suits. I think that it helps a lot to get even more color range and color variety in there. Because, like, just as a point of comparison here, Agatha and Rita here are both very prominently just sort of like white in terms of their color schemes, but they're also such different, clothing options. They're such different poses. It's not as big of a deal that those color schemes are so much more similar. Likewise, you look at these dudes next to each other, and you really are sometimes just going to need to be like, wait, who am I picking up again? There you go, and I think that will do just fine for Carson's suit right there. Alright, and now we're basically just doing a bunch of detail work, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some greedy gold here, and we're going to go over a few things with this. First and foremost, I'm going to go back to my little detailed brush here, and I'm going to go ahead and go over Preston's buttons on his vest here, because, as a rich man, as a millionaire, he's probably got kind of, gaudy clothing choices. So yeah, I expect that he's got some very prim and proper buttons to go with his fancy vest. There we go, just a little something like that. Just nice gold buttons on his suit. And then I'm also going to go over William's belt buckle here. You could use like a brass color or something if you want here too, but I think that gold will be just fine here. It is a very, very prominent belt buckle. There we go, a little something like that. Oh, and then the last thing that we're going to do, and I don't need to use the itty-bitty detailed brush for this, is that I think that Preston, again, in the name of gaudiness, probably has just a solid gold cane. I know I don't think it's pictured as such in his character art there, but again, I think that will just kind of better showcase how much of a rich prick he is. There we go. That looks like a snotty rich millionaire, so I think that looks pretty good. That's all that we're going to do with that greedy gold color. And then we're going to take out just a little dab of gunmetal as well, and we'll use that for William's shovel blade, as well as the sort of top handle part of it. I guess I don't know what the word for it would be. Grip, maybe? Yeah, grip. We'll say grip. There you go. Just a little bit something like that. Next up, I am going to just wait for all of them to dry, because we're going to go over all of them with a... oh, you know what? I forgot Mateo's hair. And I think that my dark stone is still kind of wet here, so... There you go, that'll be just fine for Mateo's hair. Let me just kind of look at all of them, make sure I didn't miss anything. I think that everything looks right. I'm going to save the shoes on William on Carson and Preston there for black. I think that they're just going to have some nice black shoes. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to wait for them to completely dry, and then we're going to go over them with a Quickshade. So I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, and now that they're pretty much completely dry, we are going to move on to the part that gives us the shade and the depth and the details and everything that we're looking for. So we're using strong tone for that, and we're just going to go over the entirety of each miniature using this strong tone. After we do that, we're going to let them completely dry again. You do want to make sure that the quick shade that you use here is completely dry before you do anything else, because what I'm going to do afterward is I'm going to do some eyes. I would say that those are optional. I always say that the eyes are optional because some people don't really like to mess with them. Sometimes they can just come out looking a little bit weird, and that's totally cool. Absolutely no problem if you feel that way, but I like to do eyes. If you don't like to do eyes, we're just going to go ahead and do the matte varnish afterward. But go ahead and apply this quick shade and then let it dry. Oh, I should say, actually, after we do this quick shade, I'm going to move on to I'm going to use some black. Even if you don't do the eyes, I'm going to use some black to get the shoes of Preston and Carson there, as well as the bases for each miniature. All right, so there you go. That's the Quickshade on there. So we want that to be completely dry, and then we'll move on to some more things. That is going to take a little while to dry. I would honestly give it like, maybe a good like 20 to 30 minutes. You know, just kind of eyeball it as, you know, just check on it periodically, make sure that there are no glistening wet spots anywhere, and then after that we'll move on. All right, and now those boys are nice and dried. I think that they're ready for just the final touches. So I'm going to take out a little bit more matte white, and I'm going to use that to do the eyes, because again, I like to do the eyes, but I would say that it's absolutely not a necessity if you don't want to bother with it. If you don't want to bother with the eyes, just go straight to black right after this, because we're going to use that for the shoes and bases. All right. So we've got the first part of all of the eyes, which is that we have the whites of their eyes. What was it was the American Revolutionary War, and there was some general or someone who had, the Battle of Bunker Hill, I think it was, who said, don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes, because muskets were really, really inaccurate back in the day. Ugh, whatever. Anyway, so next we're going to move on to some matte black. And we're going to get out a fair amount of this because we're going to use it to dot the pupils of their eyes, but then we're also going to use it for the shoes and the bases, and then we're done. Yeah, William's eyes are a little bit weird there. His eyes aren't as deep into his head in terms of the sculpt, so the shade, when I applied it, it didn't seem to apply a lot of depth to it as much. Compared to Carson here, you can see the sort of brown surrounding his eyes, and that's a little bit better, but that's okay, no big deal. There we go. He's kind of looking to the side like that. I like that. Oh, Mateo's eyes look real bad. That's okay. I guess it could be worse. Okay, but that's all that we're going to do with the eyes. And again, if you don't want to bother with that, if you really, really just are put off by the notion of doing eyes and pupils and what have you, then that's totally fine. I understand and I support your decision. Just kind of do whatever feels right for you at any point. But I think that looks pretty darn good. So I'm going to rinse off that brush, and I'm just going to move on to a regular old generic big no-name brush here. Because, yeah, as I said, we're going to do the shoes for Carson here, and Preston, and then the bases for everyone. And then I'm going to do a layer of matte varnish, which I'm just going to apply evenly across all of each miniature. Just an extra layer of protection. It's optional, you don't have to do it, but it's something that I like to do to increase the lifespan of the miniature, and it also just kind of better showcases the different colors and the range of colors and everything. Oh shoot, I just got a big glob of paint onto William's shoe there. That's okay, I'm just going to take a ratty, you can kind of see there, I'm just going to take a ratty no-name brush, I'm just going to get a little bit of water on it, and I'm just going to do one of those. If you get it in time, just like that, then it's not a big deal. There we go. And then I'll kind of soak that up with a separate brush as well. There we go. No big deal. Disaster averted. All right. Actually got out way more black than I guess I needed. And then I'll go ahead and, just for safety too, I'll go ahead and just kind of add an extra layer of black to all of the bases, just to make sure that it's very, very thick and pronounced. And then after this, yeah, I'm just going to go over the entirety of every single miniature with a matte varnish, and that'll just give that extra layer of protection and everything like that. And then that's it, and you're done.
And there you go, everybody. Those are the male investigators that come with the core set to Mansions of Madness. I think that they turned out all right. I think I've made a few, little tiny slip-ups along the way. But, we're not perfect, and we just need to, always try to be better versions of ourselves in every single aspect of life. And so, yeah, all you got to do is just
want to do it, and then you will do it, and you will churn out some good-looking miniatures here. They're not perfect, but they don't need to be. I think that they are good for playing the game. So if you like the video, go ahead and throw it a like. If you want to see the rest of the core set of Mansions of Madness being painted, you can subscribe to the channel. I think that the next one that I'm going to do, because I've done all of the investigators now, are going to be the cultists, because I think that they are one of the more common enemy types in the board game, so I think that it's not a bad idea to get them knocked out first. After that, might do maybe the hunting horror. Not really sure, but we'll kind of we'll just play it by ear and decide as we go. So thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time on Easy Mini Painting. Have a good night. Bye.